What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Wrestlemania 23. My name is Nomad, and I am here with my 39 Wrestlemanias in 39 days, and we are going to kick things off here. Really isn't much to add on this one. There wasn't a huge change between 22 and 23 as far as the general landscape goes. Of course, as always, we have our ratings from 10 to 0. Rob's ratings over there on the side, and of course the match, the event title up at the top there. And we're just going to jump right into this with the second Money in the Bank featuring Mr. Kennedy. Actually, it might be the third Money in the Bank. It's Money in the Bank, but featuring Mr. Kennedy, CM Punk, Edge, Finlay, Jeff and Matt Hardy, King, Booker, and Randy Orton. Mr. Kennedy would go on to win this one. And honestly, I think it's a very big shame for Mr. Kennedy as a whole that he couldn't stop pissing off the wrong people. It was well known that backstage he was not very popular. He was not very friendly. And again, I hate, you can say that you shouldn't be celebrating politics. You shouldn't, avoid stepping on toes just because you don't want to play politics in the locker room. And I get that. But if you know that someone is favored, or if you know that someone is considered a high commodity, if you will, in the locker room, I feel like common sense would say you shouldn't piss them off. And I don't know exactly who he pissed off or the whole story there, but it's unfortunate because this win should have catapulted him into the main card. I mean, I thought he was talented enough. He pissed off the wrong people, so he got shitty stories, shitty feuds, and he ended up losing this briefcase to Edge at some later point. So he won the match, and it did literally nothing for him whatsoever. I thought everyone in the match got in some great offense. I did think Punk was definitely the greenest of the crew, and you could tell. Great seller for everyone else, but didn't really get a lot of offense in himself. Edge was definitely the star. He did get taken out late by Jeff Hardy. That massive leg drop off the really big ladder onto Edge, who was sitting on another ladder, I believe. Basically, it took Edge out the match. Like, they wheeled him away, and he never came back, and Jeff Hardy was kind of just off on the ground for the rest of the match. They never got back involved. RK off the ladder, fantastic. The bookend off the ladder, fantastic. Both great spots. Hornswoggle getting dive bombed off the ladder by Kennedy was great. I thought those were excellent finishers, excellent use of ladders, excellent use of the space given. I don't know how it didn't kill poor Hornswoggle, but it was still a great looking move. The spots are great. I did feel like the time between spots seemed slower than the previous two. Okay, so this is the third Money in the Bank. So I'll give this one an 8. Not quite as great as the previous ones, but still pretty good. Rob agrees, gave this match a B. We'll keep it at an 8. Even if he meant to give it a 7, it's going to average out to an 8 because of the 0.5 rule. So, an 8 you are. Coming up next is the Great Khali versus Kane. Khali would go on to win. This match is designed solely to put Khali over. It's very similar to Undertaker's match, first match. It's very relatively similar to Kane coming in and taking out Undertaker when he first came out. It was honestly just a slow, boring, unimpactful match. Kane eventually slammed him. Shades of Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. And then Kane got double choke slammed and the match is over. I wasn't a fan of this at all. I gave this a 1 out of 10 F. That's how bad this match was, in my opinion. Rob thought it was a D-, which is going to be a 2. So, of course, it's going to get bumped up to a 2. But, really, there really wasn't much here. So, yeah, a 2 it is. Next up, we have Chris Benoit versus Montel Vontavious Porter, or MVP. For the U.S. title, Chris Benoit going to win. I thought this was a great back and forth. Hurt by the fact that Benoit forgets his shoulder's been targeted the whole match. Whenever it came time to use his shoulder, there was no pain at all. Meanwhile, MVP is nailing the fuck out of that shoulder, bouncing it off of turnbuckles, bouncing it off of moves. using it as like a wrench, effectively. And then that's it. Benoit just kind of forgets that he's also nursing a shoulder. It is also unfortunate this is the last Chris Benoit match. He would go on to do well, everyone knows what he does in a few months, unfortunately. So this is the last time we see Benoit, and it's unfortunate that it came in this capacity. I did think this match was good. I thought that MVP flashed great athleticism. The story was clearly about Chris Benoit being the vet. MVP was more the rookie. I thought he showed very well-tuned natural instincts. Avoided the crossface, couldn't avoid the headbutt, which I guess doesn't require a shoulder after all, so maybe it didn't matter that he was targeting the shoulder, seeing as his finisher doesn't require it. The commentator tried to sell it like, oh, if you damage the shoulder, then he can't put the crossface on you. And I guess that makes sense, but of course, not going to help from a headbutt. I gave this match a 7 out of 10. Good potential, not enough juice. That was the note that I put on here. Rob agrees. Gave this a B-, which is going to be a 7 as well. So, a decent spot for it, and that is where it will go. Next up, we have Batista versus Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. The first in a series of classic, vintage, phenomenal Undertaker matches. But don't let me tell you. Let me and Rob tell you as I go to him for this WrestleMania's match review. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the match review here for WrestleMania 23. As always, I am Nomad, and this is just some guy I picked up on the side of the street corner. He only cost $20, and that's all I had in my pocket.
$23.
You're right. This is Tito, and we're here to talk about Batista versus The Undertaker, a classic match for the World Heavyweight Championship. In my opinion, the first of a series of Undertaker classics. Obviously, his match against Randy Orton was really good as well, but this was just the start of just an absolute string of 9 or 10 out of 10s, in my opinion. I know Rob here probably disagrees. You said you gave this match a B+.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously,
high B.
I'm going to call that a B+. Fuck you. I'm not going to make you ruin this match. Okay. Even if it was just a normal B, then it would still end up averaging out to that 9. So, obviously, Rob is going to ruin this, so it's not a 10 out of 10 classic, but it is still a top match. In my opinion, this is probably a top 3 match in Taker's streak. I felt like this one, obviously the 4 he has with Shawn Michaels and Triple H are always talked about, but this is just a phenomenal match from start to finish. There's not a lot of downtime, in my opinion. Great back and forth match, no downtime, great work rate. The running power slam through the table is talked about all the time. The finisher spree to end it, the 2 counts, the near falls, the power moves, insanely hot crowd. The crowd was into this match from start to finish. They loved this shit. I thought that that ended up elevating this match. I think these two fed off of that. Easily an A match, in my opinion. Given how great these two work together, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because of how they worked and the chemistry they had together. So what was it? I guess what was it that was missing for you to keep it at a B and not go to that 9 or 10 rate?
I just thought some moves were a little too clunky at times. Toward the end, I feel like, Batista was, white hot with the fucking crowd, right? It's still, the ending still made Batista look strong. You know what I mean? Like, he would then go on to still be that crowd favorite, for years. Yeah, I just thought some moves just looked kind of off. Doesn't really take away from the match as a whole, but I don't know. I feel like Taker, I think it's also because I knew Taker has better matches, so that kind of was like, all right, this was a good setup. I'm not gonna give this an A because this was a good setup.
You are such a hard critic to please.
What do you mean?
I know he has better, so I'm gonna just remove the vacuum out of this match. No, I do agree. There's definitely better matches, but I feel like taking this match as a whole is, I know it's very hypocritical because there's a ladder match that I gave a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10 because the TLC was coming. But yeah. I do feel like with this match here, in a vacuum, this match is phenomenal. And it was the best Taker match up to this point. I don't think there's any denying that at all. Again, WrestleMania 25 is the best Undertaker match, in my honest opinion. But this is still a phenomenal match. I thought that, again, like you said, Batista's already red hot with the crowd. He's a champion at this point. Obviously he's carried that momentum from WrestleMania 21 all the way through here and continues to carry it further on. I thought Undertaker was at his prime here, although he was starting to... Obviously, after this and WrestleMania 24, he's featured a lot less on a daily basis and more as a WrestleMania spectacle, but I still enjoyed these moments. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this last little stretch of everyday Undertaker, and I thought that, at least at this point, his body was still able to carry him through a really good match. And unlike the Randy Orton match, he didn't have to guide Batista through this match. This match was just able to flow normally. They both had great chemistry. I didn't see the clunkiness that you saw, but that is why we both review these, so we both get a different opinion on them. Where would you rank this on sort of the Undertaker spectrum? Because we really haven't reviewed a lot of Undertaker's WrestleMania matches. Obviously, we're going to be returning to him WrestleMania 25. Mm-hmm. But where would you rank this amongst Undertaker's WrestleMania sprees?
For what we've watched,
because there's a few you missed growing up, right? Like some you've never seen before.
Oh yeah, I mean, I
like, even the one that breaks the streak, the one against Brock Lesnar.
Dude,
I didn't watch
that
it.
is a sore subject because let me tell you, spoiler. When we get to 30, I was down in Florida with my sister, right? At my grandma's house. We could not watch WrestleMania 30. However, my cousin was like, hey, here's a link. I clicked the link. It's like midway through WrestleMania 30 or whatever. Excuse me. And all of a sudden, my sister... we're trying to find the proper link, and then all of a sudden I found one that fucking worked. And all of a sudden I see a third F5, or I hear a third F5, and then I hear the streak is over. And I yelled to my sister right before that, I found a link! And then all of a sudden I immediately closed the link, put my laptop away, put my phone down, and just sat there like this. And then my sister comes running into the room and she goes, oh, you found it? And then she was like, did you lose the link? Is that why you're like this? I was like, I don't want to watch WrestleMania anymore. So, when I tell you heartbreak...
It shouldn't have been him. It shouldn't have been Brock.
I know.
We'll get to that later on. I don't know if that we'll do a match review on that just to talk about it, because I don't want to do 3 Undertaker streak matches, but I know you do.
It hurts. It hurts.
Oh, God. We'll see how WrestleMania 30 turns up. Maybe we'll talk about it then.
So, I'll say this much. If you want to talk about clunkiness, this ain't nothing. The little botches. I think there was one particular where Batista was going for a Batista bomb, and he just didn't get Undertaker up.
His back gave out on him, but he was also selling a bad back, so it kind of worked.
Okay. That's a little different. But, yeah, like... It wasn't as clunky as his later matches. I mean, granted, Taker's also, 7 years older at that point?
Yeah. Overall, fantastic match. Great match. Love seeing Taker as champion. You didn't really get to see him as champion a whole lot, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just because he was better off. He's one of the few wrestlers that didn't need a title to tell a good story. Mm. And you guys know, well, you guys might not know that, but you know, I'm a very big fan of wrestlers that are good at telling stories that don't involve a title. Love titles, love stories involving titles. But in my opinion, the best wrestlers can tell a story without a title. Titles are great. Good ones can tell it without one. And Taker was one of the few that was almost better when there wasn't a title involved. So, one of my favorites all time on my Mount Rushmore. This match was elite. And yeah, that's really all I've got for this one. Great spots, of course. The Tombstone, of course, is always the iconic finisher. The Batista Bomb was great, even the one that kind of botched a little bit when he fell. Again, made sense. I thought Taker was at an elite level in this match. Outside of that, I think that's everything.
Yeah? Or in Batista's theme song, yeah!
I'm going to spare you all from him singing the rest of this theme song and go back to me. Welcome back, guys. Again, like I said, this is an absolute classic Undertaker match. The next, 7 are fantastic. As I said there, Rob gave us a high B. That's obviously going to be an 8. I gave this match a 10. I loved it that much. As I said, of course, this will balance out to a 9. Thanks, Rob, for fucking it up. Next up, we have the 8-man tag match between the ECW Originals, Rob Van Dam, Sabu, the Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer, versus the New Breed, Elijah Burke, Kevin Thorne, Marcus Corvon, and Matt Striker. Honestly, a relatively meh match, mostly because I didn't recognize half the people in this match. I didn't really watch ECW growing up, so I didn't really know who any of these people were. I didn't even really watch ECW when it was on with wrestling. I watched Raw and I watched SmackDown. Never watched ECW. Didn't watch the ECW pay-per-views. Didn't really care about it. So I never watched it. So I didn't recognize any of the names. And if this match was the selling point for them, didn't sell me. I thought the New Breed were just there. This was clearly to showcase the ECW Originals on the Wrestlemania stage. Even though Rob Van Dam had kind of already been here. But it was nice to see Sabu, Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer. I do recognize those names. It's the other 4 that I don't recognize. Matt Striker. I recognize Matt Striker, but he's the only one. Everyone else, just here. RVD looks good, but that's about it. A rest match following the amazing contest before it. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Nothing really to note here. Rob gave it a 4 out of 10, so it'll get bumped up a little bit, but, I mean, it's still not a 5, a 4. Still not a great match, so just kind of here. Next up, we have the hair versus hair match between Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Donald Trump. Umaga versus Bobby Lashley with Stone Cold as a special guest referee. Jesus. Umaga carried this match hard. I forgot how good Umaga was. I didn't think he was that great growing up, but now that I'm older watching him wrestle, the psychology he uses, the athleticism that man has as large as he is, the skill at selling, the safety that he works in, while also making his moves look crisp. Absolutely phenomenal. I really wish I didn't sleep on Umaga as much when I was growing up. Lashley did some good things here, but I do feel like he was ultimately only here for the finish. Easily the best Stone Cold guest referee spot. He was very active as a referee. He looked great as the referee. He also was heavily involved because he had to be, because Umaga made him. I thought Umaga looked amazing. Moving around the ring. Him and Stone Cold were a highlight. Shane getting involved added another layer to the match. If it's a Vince McMahon match, you know it's going to be overbooked to all hell. So you kind of expect it with these matches. So the overbooking doesn't hurt anything for me. I actually kind of enjoy them. You expect these matches to be cooked, entertaining segment overall. The match wasn't the best, but everything else was entertaining. The post-match stuff with the head shave and everything like that was really cool. Bobby Lashley having to pick him up and carry him back over here to the thing. Yeah, I gave this match a 7 out of 10. I thought it was great. Rob gave it a C, gave it a 5 out of 10. I think he was mostly rating the match itself, not so much everything else around it. And he's said that before, so it makes sense that he gave us a C just because the match itself wasn't that great. So, yeah, it's going to average out to a 6. I think that is an appropriate spot for it, so there it'll go. Next up, we have Melina versus Ashley. Melina was the champion coming in. for the women's WWE Women's Title Lumberjill match. Melina would win, and probably to be expected. Melina is amazing. She's an amazing talent, amazing athleticism, amazing delivery on her moves. Ashley's career was 2.5 years for a reason. She was the Divas Search winner. She was a Playboy model. She was never a wrestler. They tried to make her a wrestler. She was never a wrestler. Didn't work out. She didn't really have a lot of moves. Couldn't really handle Melina. Couldn't keep up with Melina. And yeah, unfortunately, they really didn't take these women's matches at WrestleMania very seriously, which they really didn't take a lot of women's matches very seriously. But Melina can't carry this match to anything besides a bathroom break match, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate, because I love Melina. She was fantastic. But this match is a 2 out of 10. Rob agrees, gave it exactly what I gave it, a 2 out of 10 match. Again, it's unfortunate. These women could have cooked. They didn't get the opportunity to. It was a bad match overall. And finally, the main event of tonight, we have Shawn Michaels versus John Cena for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Cena would go on to win. Another Shawn Michaels banger. Another busted open Michaels face. Another John Cena does good, great at times, never perfect, never elite. I don't think I've got John Cena in any classics that I know of. Maybe there's one, but I can't think of it. I do think this match was a bit too long. Bloated by a very slow beginning. Doesn't really pick up until the first ref bump. And then these two unload the clips. I thought the beginning was very slow for a Shawn Michaels match to begin with. The pile driver on the stairs, the frenzy of finishers we've come to expect from WrestleMania main events, and Michaels, and Cena at this point. They've gotten very good at making these main events feel important, emotional, and powerful, but I feel like Taker and Batista probably should have been the main event here, if I'm being perfectly honest here. I thought that match was better. I also feel like because this match took too long to get into gear, it never really felt like it was creating anything memorable. I thought the first 10 minutes were about a 4 out of 10. I do think it got up to a 7. I don't think it ever eclipsed it there, so I'm going to go ahead and call this match a 7. I will rate this match based on the highest point it got, out of fairness, which is a 7. And it looks like Rob either agreed with me or did the same thing, or maybe he thought this match was better overall, gave this match a 7 himself, so that's where it's going to go. It's going to go at that 7 spot there. It's nothing crazy, but as you can tell, Batista Undertaker was the match of the night, and I really do think that that probably should have been the main event. These two all should have been swapped. But hey, it's John Cena. You can't take him out of the main event. He is this era's Roman Reigns. Doesn't matter how shitty the match ends up being. Doesn't matter how shitty the build-up is. He's going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. It's just how it is, unfortunately. So, let us see what this WrestleMania ended up equaling out to. This WrestleMania averages out to a 5.63, so we're back down to the, unfortunately, middling WrestleManias, mostly because of those twos that are going to drag this down a little bit here. But still, it's close to a 6, it's close to a C+ event, so not too much to sneeze at here. Again, genuinely enjoyed a lot of these matches, which is something more than I can say about the WrestleManias that I'm currently watching, which are like 27 and 28. They are not great, so can't wait to talk about them. But yeah, as of this, sorry, I just closed my lid right when I was in the middle of talking. But yeah, as of right now, that is it for me for WrestleMania 23. I hope to see all of you guys here for WrestleMania 24. I do greatly appreciate these smaller 8-match cards. I can talk a little bit more about them without making these reviews 30 and 45 minutes long, so I'm pretty sure we both appreciate that. Anyway, guys, I'll see you tomorrow for 24. Y'all have a good night. Peace.